When we last talked about this mysterious Burning Man case, law enforcement had reported that they had some leads finally in their investigation. But at the time of that recording, we did not know what those leads are. Well, that has changed. Now we know at least what a couple of these leads are, and they are huge. This is a very big deal. For one, they found a phone near the victim's body. Now keep in mind, this is the Burning Man Festival. There are 80,000 people out there, most of them high, drunk, out of their mind, inebriated on something. Most of them all are partying willy-nilly. There's people all over the place. So one of the challenges in this investigation is that whatever the cops find, whatever investigators find, it could be a key piece of evidence, or it could be just an item belonging to anyone. So, does this phone belong to the suspect? If it does, that's a huge deal. They'll be able to catch this guy pretty quickly if they're able to find his phone. But this phone could belong to anyone. It could belong to the victim, or it could belong to literally just anyone out there. But that's not the only thing they found. They found a blade, ladies and gentlemen. And they're assuming, as of right now, that this blade is what was used in carrying out this crime. So, right there, two big leads, two big pieces of potential evidence. So this seems like an impossible case to solve. Now it just became a little more possible. But there's also still some confusion about where this took place. And I knew that would happen because this is in the middle of the desert. It's not like this happened in your city or in your town. You can't say, oh, that guy was killed on 12th Street by the deli. Or, oh, someone attacked him outside of the convenience store over there near downtown. You know, you don't have these landmarks, these areas to identify. So at first, when this story was first reported, it was reported as if the victim was kind of just standing in a crowd of people as they were burning the effigy, the big Burning Man effigy. Later, the story kind of turned to, oh, the victim was killed inside of his tent. Now, there's some confusion. There's some questioning if this tent even belonged to the victim, because they're describing it as if it's part of like this tent pavilion that could be used for anything, and it's basically attached to a makeshift bar. So like I said, investigators, they have a hard time figuring out what happened where. Mind you, all of this stuff is packed up and gone now. The whole little city that they create out in the desert for a couple of weeks during Burning Man, they pack it all up and it's gone. So law enforcement doesn't know, like, hey, is this a personal tent? Or is this another orgy dome? Yeah, they got special tents out there for that. Is this a makeshift tattoo parlor? Is this a bar? So that changes the dynamic. Because if this guy got killed in the middle of the crowd, that's different than him getting killed in his personal tent. If he gets killed in his personal tent, you think that makes the crime a little more personal. But now we're looking at the possibility that this was kind of a communal tent. I don't even know if that's a real word, but a community tent where anyone could go in and out of, and it's kind of like right next to a makeshift bar. So them figuring out what this tent was actually used for may help them in this investigation. So there being some confusion on that part is not good. But I have an article right here that I want to read for you all, because we're also hearing about this victim's injuries for the first time. Before I dive into this article, though, if you guys enjoy the videos, if you enjoy the channel, I always work hard every day to bring you guys these videos. So please show some support by liking the video, sharing the video on social media, drop a comment, let us know what you think, subscribe if you haven't already, and if you would like to help keep the lights on around here, you could always donate via Cash App or Super Thanks. Always greatly appreciated. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in and learn a little bit more. Burning Man homicide victim found with blade wound to throat. The blade, or the possible blade, is currently being examined. The dead guy found at this year's Burning Man had a large wound to his throat. The slash was from a blade, and the blade was recovered at the scene. Sources say the blade is being forensically examined, and law enforcement is also going through a phone that was found near the body. We're told Vadim Kruglov's body was found inside a tent pavilion structure near a makeshift bar on Saturday night. Because the death was ruled a homicide, sources say police had to get a warrant before entering the tent pavilion. There was a chance the area could be deemed a dwelling, and cops felt it prudent to err on the side of caution, at least from a legal standpoint. We're told the cell phone examination could take weeks, and at this point, no suspect or suspects have been identified. Sources say cops don't have a motive yet either. It's unclear what happened leading up to the incident, and it's unclear if there's surveillance video from the remote desert in Nevada. As we previously reported, Kruglov was identified by his fingerprints, and his friends had been searching for him for days before his body was found and ID'd. He'd vanished from his campsite, leaving behind his tent and belongings. So, there's still some confusion as to where this actually took place, because they say that he left behind his tent. Mind you, his friends kind of just up and left. Oh, we couldn't find Vadim, and they just upped and left. I got a video out about some of his friends and stuff. The story is really weird, because it turns out this is this guy's first time at Burning Man, and it feels like he was kind of lured into going, but that's a story for another video that I already put out, so go check out that video. But there's still some confusion about where this happened, because there were witnesses saying that, oh, we heard a fight, we heard some commotion coming from Vadim's tent in the middle of the night, but it looks like this didn't happen in his personal tent. It looks like he was somewhere else at Burning Man in some other camp, in some other tent when this happened. So, when we were first examining this case, we were wondering, how could something like this happen and no one know anything in the middle of 80,000 people? Then it was like, oh, well, he was killed in his personal tent. Maybe that's an explanation why no one really saw anything. But now it looks like he was killed kind of at like a makeshift bar, a tent that was being used by other people as well. So now that opens up, or reopens up, the initial way that we were looking at this story, being that, oh, there must have been witnesses, there must have been people around. You're attached to a makeshift bar. I'm sure people are at the makeshift bar at Burning Man. So someone had to be around to see or hear something. Now, as I was explaining earlier, these tents, they're used for a wide variety of things. There's a lot going on out there at Burning Man. I've talked about the possibility that this is some sort of ritual sacrifice. Not that, and that doesn't have to mean that all of Burning Man was in it, but you got people tweaked out of their minds on psychedelics. Maybe someone tried to sacrifice this guy. Maybe someone was just tripping out so hard that they winded up killing someone. Maybe, for all we know, there's orgies and stuff happening out there. Maybe Vadim slept with someone's girlfriend or their wife and they got angry. You don't know, because there's just so much chaos and wildness happening out there. But for the most part, it seems to be like a loving type of place where everyone is extremely friendly, like overtly nice to the point that it's kind of creepy. Everyone's super helpful. Everyone's part of this big family. So usually the attitudes are pretty positive out there. So for there to be someone so angry and irate that they're out here shanking people, you know, it makes you wonder, what is the motive? Law enforcement still doesn't know the motive. Obviously, we don't know the motive. but we can speculate. And when you think about something like Burning Man, there's just limitless possibilities as to what could have happened. But all in all, I can't help but just be creeped out by this story, because the locations of where this could have happened, they have changed a few times. Like, oh, was he in the middle of the crowd? Was he in this tent and that tent? But at the end of the day, this did happen as they were burning the Burning Man effigy. And that's a time where everyone's attention is usually on the burning of the effigy. Everyone's gathered around in like this huge, crazy circle, watching the Burning Man burn down, right? So that's what makes me feel like this could be ritualistic. But at the same time, even if not, this seems opportunistic, because this happened at a time where everyone's attention is on something else. Everyone's attention is on the Burning Man. And that's when Vadim was taken out. And obviously, if you're in an altercation, if you're in a fight, you know, the wounds that you receive, the injuries you could receive could be anywhere. But the fact that it's a slash to the throat, makes you wonder too. Was this in the middle of an altercation, or did someone come up behind him and just off him out of nowhere without him realizing it? That makes you wonder. I would like to hear if there are any more injuries. Are there some self-defense wounds? Or does it look like someone just came up from behind him and just, ended him? So that's another question I have, and hopefully we will have those questions answered in the future, though. For now, I want to hear from you guys below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all very soon in the next video.